How's it going, garden people? Welcome to the Hidden Gardens. Today we're going to take a look at the front gardens for the beginning of fall here in the end of September in my Zone 7 garden. Starting off with this container, Impatiens seem to be the way to go. These have bloomed all summer, so I think I'll be adding more of those annuals next season because they've done really well. I posted a series of videos where I planted all new of these plants, like this cloud honeysuckle, and I did include the stats for most of those plants, so if you want to go and check those out. But they do seem to be holding well and doing well so far, so I'm pretty pleased with all of the plantings that I was able to get into the ground. So far so good. And this Temple of Bloom 7 sunflower is just up out of bloom. You can go and check out my shorts where I do post these that are fully in bloom when I can catch them. Though the bracts are just beginning to form on this plant, and I have to say they're pretty amazing. Like firework type of display when they fully come in, nice red. It's almost like a second bloom for this. It's forming up. I'm forming it up to be a tree. It can be a very large shrub, or you can form it up to be a small tree, which is what I'm doing. Why you see the stakes there. I'm so pleased with this plant. It's so covered with pollinators when it's in full bloom. Absolutely lovely plant. When it goes dormant, I'll give this a trim up and form it a bit more into more of a tree shape. Though it's forming pretty well so far this year. I did limb up a little bit of it already, as you can see at the bottom, so pretty pleased at how this situation is going. Here is a castle spire that's going to be protected soon here from the bunnies, and all the rest of the planting in this little area seems to be holding well. The butterfly bush actually needed quite a bit of water this season. We've been in a full drought situation throughout most of the summer, spring, and winter as well, past winter, so hoping that alleviates soon. Though I did get quite a bit of blooms on this butterfly plant, and it is very pretty. Definitely grew very well in this spot. I do have another one that's the same variety that I just removed from the lower bed. It wasn't doing as well in that spot, wasn't thriving as well in that spot, so really interesting how the same type of plant can perform differently in different areas of the garden. And this is a Japanese glow pop, and it's doing well so far, so I think that that's going to be very pretty once it grows in and grows up. Nice evergreen type of interest here, so hopefully that'll do well. And I do need to get to trimming some of the dead stuff off of this Dragon Prince Cryptomeria, but I really love this little plant. So this one and the one next to it really kind of got some like winter burn last winter, and this season with the drought and such, it's kind of been hanging out and trying to recover. So we're going to give it quite a bit of time and see how it comes back and forms up. But I don't have any doubts that it'll be a beautiful plant once it kind of recovers from the stress of the situation, as it were. Containers of Supertunias are starting to kind of perk up a little bit more. And this royal purple smoke tree is stunning. The reddish pinkish margins that it gets on around the dark foliage, absolutely stunning. Just really such a pretty foliage small tree plant. I'll be limbing it up as it goes and forming it as I can. That's pretty much the name of the game when it comes to all of the small ornamental trees that I do have in this front garden area. Is I'll be limbing up and shaping to my liking and to what fits the area, and hopefully when everything fills in, it all seems to fit as well and as good as possible, as well as hopefully not be too crammed in there, or at least not look too crammed in there. Though you can't beat the beautiful foliage of that tree. Just absolutely stunning. So a little bit about the grass walkways. I've hemmed and hawed about it, but I do like the grass part of it, mainly because me and the kids will run out and check the mail and such, and to walk on anything like mulch hurts, and it's not in the budget for any type of stone pathway, so I am going to look into what's the best method of reseeding, whether I go out there and pull up all the weeds and then reseed, or just cover it all and reseed after I've covered it all with compost. We'll see which way I want to go there. But this Snow Fountains Weeping Cherry is amazing. I absolutely adore this tree. One of my favorite trees. It's also the tree that pretty much kicked off the whole front gardens planting situation that's occurred here. It moved around the garden quite a bit, and it's finally landed into this spot, and I think that it likes this spot, and I love it in this spot. And the trimming that I do is I'll try to trim in the middle in the trunk, so that at least there's like some room to, walk around the trunk underneath. But I do like to let the limbs hang down to the ground as far as possible. I may do a little bit of staking to make it a little bit taller. We'll see as time goes on, but really, really adore this tree. Just very, very lovely flowing branches, beautiful white, delicate flowers in the springtime. Absolutely stunning. Great winter interest because of all the architecture that it gives. Absolutely amazing tree. Bunch of geraniums planted underneath it. And as time goes and it shades out some things, I'll maneuver around that. We have a red October grass right there. That'll get really tall and pretty. And I also just transplanted all of these silver mound artemisia, and then I did end up cutting them back to help with that transition. And they all seem to have taken, and they all seem to be coming back. So I'm pretty pleased about that. This Castle Rouge blue holly seems to be taking well as all the other castle spires that I planted. And just a note about this hardy hibiscus that I planted here, I moved it a little bit forward more, closer to the side here, because it was just kind of getting swallowed by the other hibiscus there, so I gave it a little bit more space. And then it is close to this water line here. However, hibiscus roots are very shallow, and they're not aggressive in that they're not going to poke through a pipe. They'll take advantage if a pipe is cracked, but they're not going to cause problems where they're going to break pipes and such like that, at least to my understanding. So I'm not too concerned about that. I am pretty pleased that the Gora that I transplanted, all of them do seem to be coming back, so I'm pretty psyched about that as well. I wasn't very kind to that plant when I moved it around. If you want to go look back in the videos, you'll see the plantings and such as I moved them around, along with the silver mound artemisia, what I changed there. I do plan on moving this butterfly weed, especially now that it's done its thing and I don't see any active caterpillars on it. Better placing in the garden. That was here beforehand, so we'll see where I move it to. And this mountain mint is super pretty, so I think that it'll do really well filling in between all the scari here, and hopefully between the hibiscus and the blue hollies, it'll kind of keep it fairly contained within this little spot, is what I'm hoping for. But I think it's going to be very, very pretty in this spot, so I'm pretty pleased how all of these plantings seem to be going so far. Newly added bearded tongue, as well as an obedient plant that I did cut back a little bit. We'll see if that continues to make it. I think it'll be all right, especially come next season, where a lot of these plants are freshly planted. Next season I think will do really well. And I am getting some berries on these Castle Spire blue hollies. I knew I wasn't going to get very many, or if any at all, because the bunnies did eat the pollinator plants. But the fact that I did get some berries is just fantastic. So again, I will protect all of the blue hollies from the bunnies for this winter, because when things get scarce, they do actually eat them. But as long as I can make them big enough so that the bunnies can't reach the height of them, then we should be fine going forward from there. But I'm pretty pleased that I at least do have some red berries, because it's very, very pretty. And this is our Ruby Falls Redbud, and it's just spectacular. Just great color. It is starting to green up now that we're at about the end of summer, but for the majority of the summer, here in my front garden, it's getting full afternoon sun, and as long as I keep the roots kind of shaded and keep them moist and such, it's done spectacular. It's done really, really well, and it keeps its color throughout most of the summer. So very, very pleased with that plant. I may do a little bit more staking to make it a little bit taller, but we'll see as time goes on. And hopefully the blue hollies will kind of grow up around it and not so much be engulfed by it. We'll see how that combination goes. Now these planters, I can't remember what the plant was that I put in the middle, but it didn't do well at all. So the super bells that are in here are just starting to kind of come back now. So maybe for next season, I'll do some sun patience in these planters, since they're like right in the full sun, full afternoon. We'll see what we're going to do there. I'm probably going to plant those Dragon Prince Cryptomeria right there on both sides, and that way it'll match all the other walkways, in that's kind of about where all of those evergreen plants are planted. And then come the snow season, that's what you'll see the pretty evergreens coming out. Again, the Gora seems to be making a comeback, so that's good. And this Lavender Twist Redbud has been holding its own, doing some staking. As time goes on, that'll get taller and fuller as I stake it up. And Baby Blue Spruce looking amazing. Absolutely love this tree. Love that it's slowly making its way, getting bigger. Love the color on it. It's quite pokey, so to try and get any weeds that, are growing up or around it, you just got to kind of be careful, because it will poke you. But totally stunning, absolutely worth it. Again, the Gora is starting to kind of make a comeback, which is good, because, like I said, I wasn't very kind to it. This 9-bark is beautiful, seems to be holding it along. Savannah Sunset, I believe. Beautiful, absolutely love it. And we've also got a yellow twig dogwood that'll shine come this winter. And again, bunnies galore in this garden. They are everywhere, so I try to work with them, try to plant stuff that they're either not going to eat, or if they are going to eat them, like the blue hollies, protect them until they get tall enough to where they can't eat the whole plant type of situation. So it's their garden too, I suppose, and I'm not gonna spray anything or do anything, because really I'd be out here every single day, especially when we have like a more normal year where we're quite humid and more moisture than we've certainly gotten this past year. So again, another Castle Rouge, which does seem to have some blooms on it, so that's good. Pretty pleased with all of the evergreens that are starting to come up, especially once it snows. It'll be really, really pretty. I'll be able to see all the evergreens kind of come out and come up. Another red October grass that matches parallel to the other side here. And that'll come up and get up, I think about 6 to 8 feet tall. I don't know, it's quite tall. Another Dragon Prince cryptomeria that seems to be coming out of its funk as well. And this side is much more shaded than the other side, where these other super petunias are planted in pots. Coral bark Japanese maple. Great tree, absolutely great. It'll get about 15-20 feet tall over time, and it gets the stunning, amazing red bark in the winter. Great tree, absolutely love it, and it's pretty happy in that spot. And we have a Ruby Tears crabapple, which is a little bit on the struggle bus. We'll kind of see how things turn out. I mean, it's doing well. It is producing its crab apples right now, but some of it's a bit on the struggle bus, so we'll kind of see how this tree eventually, hopefully, kind of pulls up out of its funk. But still really, really pretty. I'll do some more shaping of it come this late winter, early spring. But for now, hopefully the crab apples, little berries, will come in and be very, very pretty come this fall, winter. Lots of hellebores planted that seem to be holding their own, which is good. This Pierre's japonica, this one is Red Mill, and it's starting to form its little teeny flowers. Gets these really, really pretty dangling white flowers come like late winter, early spring, thereabouts. Very, very pretty. Really, really enjoy those. So that's forming and doing well. And I think that plant's kind of coming back. It was definitely in a struggle situation when I put it in the ground. So for it to be forming some flowers and stuff, I'm all here for it. Again, with the sun patience, again, this is more of a part shade area than across the way, and they're doing just fine in this spot as well. So sun patience are, I think, a fairly underrated plant. Purple Magic crepe myrtle that is settling into its spot and seems to be doing well so far, so I'll be looking forward to that growing up and filling in its little area there. And yes, I do have lots more planting to do, lots more garden beds to fill up. So I hope that if you're new here, you'll consider subscribing so that you can follow along on the gardening journey. If you're returning, thanks for coming back. I definitely appreciate you. And if you've ever wondered about this mushroom tree, this is a dwarf Alberta spruce that was planted here before we moved in and was fully grown. But when we moved in, there was a bunch of hedging, evergreen hedging. I can't remember what it was. I don't know what kind it was, but it was definitely protruding into the tree. And all of that was all dieback. So I cut it all back, and now I've got a nice little mushroom tree in the corner there. And Summer Wine 9-bark, absolutely stunning. If you're looking for a 9-bark with dark foliage, that's just a really, really nice plant to have. This one is definitely something to consider. If you check out on my shorts, I have one short for this one that catches the red underneath in the sun. So unbelievably beautiful. Absolutely great stunning foliage plant to have in the garden. Lots of new additions in this area in pretty much all the quadrants as well as the other side. I added all sorts of new plants, so check out those past planting videos for the specs on all these. Vino Verde Wagella as well. I think that the foliage on that is going to play really, really nicely with that 9-bark as well as this Miss Laminabilia. So I think that that'll be really, really pretty. A bunch of really pretty mounding foliage, interesting plants over in this area. Definitely pleased with this Miss Laminabilia. Probably one of my favorite plants. Absolutely love this one. The little dainty flowers that it gets, the foliage color on it, just a stunning little workhorse of a plant in the garden. Absolutely great. It does get these like wild stems here and there that I probably will cut off, but I can also let go if I kind of want that more wild look. Either way, it's just absolutely stunning. Love it. One of the new plantings, and it looks like it's getting a little bit of powdery mildew on it, but we'll keep an eye on that and kind of see how that plays out. Very pretty grass. I have one here and I have one on the other side of this entryway. The one on the other side is flopping in the middle. I'm not sure if it either just didn't get enough water at the beginning of the season or if it needs to be divided at this point. So we'll see what I decide to do there. I may divide it a little bit come the spring or when it needs to be. We'll see, I suppose. But these planters are doing really well now that the temperatures are cooling down a little bit. All of the plants in the planters didn't really perform very well this summer. I think I definitely needed to feed them, fertilize them way more than I did. So live and learn, I suppose. I did just plant out this coleus with some grass in the middle for fall. Very, very pretty. I like that little combination that's occurring there. And black dragon cryptomeria in the pots. Definitely like that tree. It seems to hold up to the full afternoon sun really well and just keeps trucking along. Definitely like it. Slow grower. As you can see, the front entryway definitely needs some work. The siding, the door, all needs a good coat of paint. New mat. The rocks on the sides I need to get to hopefully this winter. It's on the to-do list. And here's the grass that I was talking about that's got the flopping in the middle. So again, I'm not sure if it's the drought contributing to this situation that it's flopping a bit or whether it just needs to be divided. But it was planted the same exact time as the other one across the way, and the other one across the way is standing up perfectly fine. So this side gets a tad bit more sun than the other side, so not sure what the situation is there. Summer Skies butterfly bush, and I'm pretty partial to this plant. It's definitely one of the plants that really got my gardening passion going in the very beginning of my journey. So I'm glad that it's doing its thing in this spot and seems to be doing well. So I'll be looking for it to do well again next season. Now this beautyberry is on the struggle bus. That's mostly because it was in the ground and it got moved to a pot where it hung out pretty much all the summer. So it's definitely nutrient deficient. But now that it's planted back into the ground, and I will cut it back this late winter, early spring, and it'll bounce back, I think, beautifully next season. So I'm not too concerned about that. The Tina Sargent crab apples right here are starting to form their crab apples as well. Again, they're a little bit on the struggle bus, and I really do think it has more to do with the heat this summer, the drought situation where I just wasn't able to really kind of keep up with the watering. One, because I didn't want to overwater things, and also because I think I was underwatering things by not trying to overwater things because of the drought situation. So, live and learn. Watering is a thing that is not easy to get a handle on. No matter how many years you garden, it all really does play on the weather. So it's really about reading the weather and that type of thing, and kind of working with it and hopefully not against it. Super bells are starting to come back in the pots, and that potato vine was lovely throughout the summer. Midnight Sun Wagella, showing why it's absolutely amazing to have in the garden, giving off that beautiful red foliage that it gets in the fall. So that's really, really pretty. Note to self, cut back the salvia even further than I did this season. And I'll definitely be looking at these lower petalum, keeping an eye on those, the dark foliage plant back there. Got a nice little river of plumbago forming in between the Caryopteris and the catmint, the Blue Wonder Nepeta to the left there. I do think I should have grabbed another plumbago to pop at the end there. I think it needs at least one, maybe two more plants, we'll see, but at least one more. Love this grass that's growing. It's a little blue stem grass. Absolutely adore that grass, and I was able to divide it and get it to go on the other side, so I'm glad that made it. Really, I'm pretty pleased with how all of the plants are forming up. That Tough Stuff hydrangea had a bit of a tough year. Hopefully next year the foliage will look a little bit better. Again, the drought situation just really kind of got to me this year as far as trying to get a hang on things. But everything seems to be faring fairly well, so I'm pretty pleased that at least everything's going and growing and going along as it goes. Again, another Blue Wonder Nepeta right there, another lower petalum, that dark foliage plant. So I'm really kind of hoping that those will do well in that spot. We'll keep an eye on it. And this sedum, now I can't figure if that's getting too much water right there. It was looking really well, or if that's just its fall color. Maybe a little nutrient deficient. I'm not quite sure. So again, imbalance of watering situation. Here's another Midnight Sun Woodgella that's more freshly planted, so it's looking rough. Again, next season I think everything will really look a lot more fuller, a lot more established and nicer. So pleased that this grass took. I definitely thought I killed this little transplant, but the fact that it's growing up and it's going, I'm so pleased about that. So I'll be definitely looking forward to that filling in. Dwarf honeysuckle back there, that's just turned into a nice big bush. The bush honeysuckle, absolutely stunning. I like it, the bees like it. Good placement for it so far, so I haven't moved it. I did think about it, but I think I'm gonna keep it where it is. And we've got some glow stick Japanese holly that do seem to be doing okay. Could maybe use a little bit of compost in those pots just to kind of make sure that it's getting all the nutrients that it needs. Again, fertilizing in the containers this year was a bit tricky. I think I need to be fertilizing just a bit more, making sure that things are still getting fed and getting the nutrients that they need. Variegated with red twig dogwood in the middle there, filling in nicely. I definitely like that plant. I definitely like the placement of it. I like the foliage of it, and come winter it's going to give me some really pretty winter interest with the red twigs. It did get nibbled on a bit last year, so I'm not quite sure what nibbled on it. As far as deer are concerned, I'm in a fairly populated area, busy area, so we do have deer around, but whether they're hanging out in my garden, not so much. So we'll kind of see how the winter plays out, but mostly everything's doing pretty great. These containers get a little bit more sun than the upper containers, so it seems like the Super Bells are doing a little bit better in terms of bloom wise than the upper containers, but still very pretty, especially now that the temperatures are cooling down a bit more. They're starting to come back, so I'm glad about that. I'm a fan of the Super Bells, so I'll be looking to do more combinations next season as well. Sedum recently planted, that we'll keep an eye on in terms of watering since we have a hibiscus right next to it. And this Wolf Eyes dogwood, just so excited that I was able to nab this up at the garden center and get it planted in my garden. Absolutely adore this plant. Saw it at the demonstration gardens. at the Barnstable Fair, and I had to have it ever since I saw it. So I'm so glad to have it in the garden. And this anise hyssop, blue boa, I believe is the variety, I transplanted recently in a video, and I popped it up here. And as you can see, it took to the transplant just great. It's starting to come back, even give us some blooms, which is neat. So I'm pretty pleased that that's taken fairly well. All the plants that I transplanted seem to be doing okay, so I'm pretty glad about that. Things seem to be moving along. While they don't look spectacular right now, they're there, they're alive, they're growing, and next season I think promises to be really, really a good season, weather dependent, of course. So I'll give you all a good view of each quadrant before we move along to the front yard, the front side garden here. This is the pink blooming area, the pink blooming quadrant. And I'm not keeping the camera up too high, mainly because I don't want to show too much of my neighborhood, that type of thing. As the evergreens kind of grow up, that'll give better opportunity for me to hold the camera higher, because it'll create more of a room for this whole front garden entryway. So that's really kind of what I'm looking for, is to kind of create a nice room walled in with the evergreens, the Japanese holly poking up in all four of the quadrants, and really kind of filling into a nice perennial quadrant that both is different in each quadrant but also cohesive and matching, and just a good pretty garden room. So moving on to the side front yard over here, the salvia that I cut back is starting to bloom again, so that's lovely. As you can see, the blue holly, I did manage to get the cage on that one just to kind of see how I want to put those. You can do those cages a couple of different ways. So especially for the ones that I planted that are taller and have really tall stems, I can have the top open. I can also flip it around so that it's kind of flipped the other way. But I feel like if I do that, the bunnies might be able to lean on it. I don't know. I'll play around with them and we'll see where we end up. But so far, at least the cages that I did get, I think are going to work really, really well to at least get the blue hollies up high enough so that they can get beyond the reach of the bunnies. And the salvia that I planted is taking really nicely, so I'm glad about that. That I grew from seed. And again, with the Artemisia, the silver mound Artemisia, that's coming back, a little bit rougher over here. We have a white totally stoked asters that I transplanted and seems to be taking well. I did just cut it back a little bit, but it does have some new growth, so at least it's taking to its spot, so I'm glad about that. More of the silver mound Artemisia, it's coming back. This area is a little bit more drier than the rest, so it was already kind of in a little bit of a struggle. So again, the watering situation, we've got a Gatsby Moon hydrangea right here, so that'll get fairly big and grow in, and the Castle Spire Blue Holly will grow up next to it, so it'll kind of really fill in this whole side area here. All in all, though, I'm pretty pleased with this whole shed area. It's doing its job. It's masking the garbage cans that are inside of it, keeping the critters out and keeping it at least looking decent. So, you know, it's not just a bunch of trash cans. It's like a little pretty house. These solar lights that I got for it look like they belong to it, like they came with the kit. They didn't, but they fit so perfectly on both sides. So I really, really like that addition. I'm glad I did that. I definitely like the grasses in the pots here. I also like this pick too, because the Apache Rose variety of grass that are in these pots really work well with the white in the blooms. The dark blooms really show up nicely with the white backdrop, so I'm glad about that. As you can see, there's another tree sitting here. I may plant this one. If I do, I'll be limbing it up. This is a weeping Coosa dogwood, and we'll see if it continues to stay in this spot. Right now it's hanging out in the pot, and I'm keeping my eye on it, seeing if I like it, but I think it may stay. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm thinking of extending this bed over here in this little area, so we'll see. As you can see, I did plant finally the flamethrower redbud to the right there. It looks like I may need to put another small ornamental tree in the middle here. We'll see, like a vase shape type one. But I did end up planting these evergreen trees as well as the smaller plants, the perennials, the catmint down below. This one is the gold drift weeping Norway spruce. I planted 2 of those, so those are super slow growing, along with the blue cloak white fir that's in the middle there. Those are all very slow growing plants, but very thin and not too tall, about 10 feet tall, give or take, over time. So I think that those will be very pretty evergreen interest, along with the blue hollies for a backdrop on this whole area. The Betty White hydrangea that's in the middle here, panicle hydrangea, absolutely stunning. Cannot say enough great things about this plant. Beautiful deep pink blooms that they turn into over time. I mean, berry type of blooms. So I love that they call it berry white, because it really is a berry colored bloom that it changes into, that it fades into come the fall with the cooler temperatures. So just beautiful. Absolutely love that plant. And I'll limit up a little bit as we go, but just so pleased with the plantings that I've been able to accomplish over in this area. And as you can see, I am holding the line when it comes to all the weeds so far. I went through not that long ago and there really weren't that many weeds to pull, so as long as I can kind of hold the line, then I think we'll be good to go. Some zinnias that are in this little cut flower section. The zinnias out front didn't do that great. I'll be doing a back tour as well, and the zinnias out back are all the florets out back. Beautiful. Zinnias seem to do much better out in the backyard than they were able to do out front. Now, granted, I think that the bunnies did eat a few of the seedlings when they were younger, but just in general, the plants seem to struggle right up here in the hot afternoon sun. So I am going to do a little reforming of the cut flower section here. I think I'll be planting these peonies that at the moment look a little rough because they were out back and I brought them out front and probably burned them a little bit. Oops. But I'm probably going to plant them in these beds. We'll see. And while all these cut flowers are a little bit past their prime at this point, so I'll be pulling them pretty soon here. Some of them are still doing fairly well. And it was definitely a good learning and experiment year for this cut flower section to see what kind of flowers I like growing and see when they do their best. All the snapdragons are finally starting to come into their own with the cooler temperatures. So those are really pretty. I definitely liked growing the straw flowers. Those are pretty, though they're starting to go to seed. So I've been coming out and grabbing them best I can so that I don't have a bunch of straw flower seeds popping up everywhere. But those are really pretty little cut flowers. I definitely like those. So it, give and take, I think I'll grow a lot more Lysianthus. I really like that plant. So lots to think about and plan for the upcoming seed planting sessions that will be coming soon in the colder months. Now I did get this flamethrower red bud into the ground. I'm pretty glad with its placement. I did stake it up a little bit, and I did move some of these hydrangeas. As you can see, this little panicle one is still trying to bloom, give me new blooms, even though I transplanted it actually not that long ago. So everything seems to be taking so far, and I'm glad at how things are going. I think that this flamethrower redbud will be so pretty in this spot. I'm gonna have to keep the roots moist and shaded for it to be in the spot, but I think it's gonna form into a very, very nice plant over here. And as you can see where that weeping kusa dogwood, I think that I'm gonna need something upright in the middle, because when once I placed the weeping one and I looked at the redbud and then I looked at the magnolia over far to the right, as you can see there, I decided I kind of think I want another plant in the middle. So I did place that Tonto crepe myrtle there that's still hanging in the pot. I'm probably on the lookout for another upright type of small ornamental tree to go in between the flamethrower redbud and the weeping kusa dogwood to the left there. We'll see. I don't want it to be too much of a tall screening deciduous line, but I do think I do want a deciduous line there. So moving over to the roses, this one's the Ancient Mariner. All of the roses they're looking kind of rough, but they were in rough shape to begin with. So we're going to give it another season and kind of see how things look next season. As far as sharing things, I did get some sporadic blooms here and there. Again, the watering, I'm no rosarian by any means, so still getting a hang of that situation. And hopefully by this time next year, I'll have lots of pretty blooms to show you guys. So this side front yard area is definitely forming up. I thoroughly enjoyed the cut flower section. Though I didn't actually cut any flowers from it, I definitely enjoyed seeing all the flowers come up and enjoying their blooms and seeing how things grow, and just a very, very enjoyable little area to have in the garden, and the pollinators really liked it as well. So I'll be doing more experimenting with this little area. Lisianthus right there. Again, I definitely want to plant a lot more of those for next season. And these straw flowers were very pretty. Maybe not as many next season. I don't know. We'll see. Or at least in a different space. I think these might have served a little bit better if I had them on the right side over here instead of this left side. But I definitely like them. I think they're pretty cool. When you touch them, they've got that like papery texture to them. So pretty cool little plant there. And these snapdragons are just beautiful, beautiful colors. I like that. So these are all coming into bloom now. So I'll be able to enjoy these for quite a bit more time here as time goes on. And all the yarrow in the back there, I did cut back a little bit of it, but I am just kind of letting it do its thing back there, and that's fine because it's not that hard to pull, and it does work as a good ground cover. So, and that's the Tonto crepe myrtle right here in the back that's still in the pot. Again, I'm debating on that, debating on planting that, yes or no, but I think I'm leaning towards planting it and then looking for another upright small tree for down the way a little further. But this whole area is developing still moving along. I'll be protecting these little blue hollies that are back there as well, if you can see them in the back there. And I just transplanted this abelia to the right there. This one is one of the pollinators, and it's definitely looks like the rabbits are already starting to get to it. So I'm going to have to get out here with the cages pretty soon. And this is the abelia that I just transplanted from down the way. and it looks like it's took into its new spot fairly well, and I think it'll be a little bit happier here than opposed to down below where it really kind of was getting smothered out by things. So I think it'll be kind of happy in this little spot. Again, really pretty foliage on these plants. The abelias, they're supposed to be evergreen, but I think in my area they're just a little bit more semi-evergreen. I think it just gets just a tad too cold for them, but they come back and just a great plant. So we'll look forward to that one kind of bulking up and getting a little bit bigger. And I did plant another Firelight Tidbit, I believe is what this little hydrangea is. I added that one, and I think it'll be cute when it kind of grows up underneath the magnolia right there, the star magnolia. This Gatsby pink hydrangea, oak leaf hydrangea, I think might get a little bit too big for this area, but we're gonna kind of let it go and maybe do some pruning on it, or maybe we'll move it later. But for now, I like the placement. We're gonna roll with it. And I'll give you a little peek over the fence for the dog yard area, how things are growing over there. I will probably add that to the backyard tour. I'll do the backyard and the side yard for September. We'll see if I can get to it. But here's your little peek at how things are going. The grass is growing up lovely, and I'm really enjoying that. A big accomplishment I was able to achieve this year, apart from forming different beds and planning for new beds, was to really kind of get a hang on the weeds. So I'm so pleased with myself that I was able to achieve that goal, and I'm hoping that this time next year it will be even better as far as the weed situation, so that it's not so much a chore and just another garden maintenance task. So we'll see how things hold out, but so far I'm pretty hopeful. So if you've made it this far, I really hope this video inspires you to get out and look around in your garden. Look at your winter garden to-do list, write some things down, consider what you want for your garden to develop and look like into next season, what your plans are, whether you're a gardener or a painter or whatever your passion is. If you're new here, please consider subscribing again, because it does help me out. It helps my channel out. If you're returning, I thank you so much for coming back. Please consider hitting the like button so that it pushes the video out to more people that might find it interesting. And I hope that this video inspires you to continue along on your gardening journey, whatever that looks like for you. And thank you for coming along on mine.